Morning, this is Georgian Banov, and I'm here with Bill on the backstage of Jubilee. We're having an amazing conference, Great Grace. Last night was just awesome, and in a minute we're going to introduce Benny, and I've never heard her preach, and she will share about, before you speak, she'll share about her amazing passion for intercession. She's a seasoned intercessor, and she's got a new book called Happy Intercessor. I love that because sometimes we lose the joy over warfare or over prayer or over prophetic, and I think we should have it all.
If you don't pray from heaven to earth, you lose the joy.
You lose the joy.
But you can't help but have the joy if you pray from heaven towards earth, with the Father towards the problem.
And that's the perspective.
That's it.
I'm so excited about hearing it. So we're so honored to have you both.
Thanks.
And last night you shared amazingly. It was not just what you shared, but the spirit which you carry, this Father spirit and this confidence, and that seated from heaven point of view. And I like to share. I like to ask you if you could have a word of encouragement, because so many voices out there, and of course so many economical things going on in the news, and people losing houses, and fear for this, fear for that, and I don't think fear is part of what we're all about. And no. I love you touched a little bit on that and about the
it's all right. Happens to the best.
Yeah. So anyways, good thing we're the internet stuff, so this technology. Anyways, any of that technology, that glorious heavenly perspective that you might want to share about this whole...
Sure. Well, I mean, the country, the nations of the world are in crisis, and it's not as though it doesn't exist. It doesn't help us to live in denial. But at the same time, the church is supposed to be the light, the salt, the leaven, that which has effect on the surroundings. So I'm either going to be influenced by what's going on around me, or I'm going to have impact on what's going on around me. You have Jesus released peace over a storm, a life-threatening storm. He rebuked the wind and the waves, and he released peace over the storm. It was the storm he slept in. So you have authority over any storm you can sleep in. So when you find that place of peace in here, you're positioned to release it out there. So you've got to have the breakthrough internally. So that's why fear and anxiety is such a big deal. We have to have victory over that. Not just for our own self-preservation, but so that we become an effect on the world around us. Otherwise, we get affected by it. There's no middle ground. It's one or the other. It's just, do I affect the world around me? If I do, there is no recession in heaven. There is no poverty in heaven. And so my life will help to confront those things in word, in action, in presence. That mentality, that poverty mentality. See, the spirit of mammon is cruel because he exalts money to the point where you worship it, and he takes you into poverty to where you are like a drug addict needing more to survive. It's just this cruel master, the spirit of mammon. And he wants to destroy lives, and we just can't yield to that. We have to be kingdom-oriented people. It's not just a matter of provision. Do I have enough to pay my house payment? Do I have enough to, put food on the table, gas to drive to work, or to keep a job? It's that, but it's a lot more than that. It's we live in a world that is governed by that spirit of mammon. And can I live separate from that? If I can, then I'm going to have impact on the world around me. But I'm not going to release from my life what I don't have in here. If I'm bound up in here with fear, no matter how hard I try with the right phrases, quoting the right verses, I will create that tension around me. Our internal reality becomes our external reality.
Is it kind of like what Jesus says, we're in the world but not of the world?
Yeah.
We're here, but it is not in us. We have another world in us.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not here to survive. We're here to overcome. We're here to transform. We're here to make the difference. And it's a privilege to be alive right now because there's so many problems.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be horrible, honestly, to be alive at a time when there's no crisis.
Yeah.
Because you're filled with answers and nobody's asking questions.
Yes.
And right now we have answers. We have solutions.
would you pray? Would you just release a prayer from that authority that you carry? Would you release it for someone? Someone's about to go, hey, I might lose the house, or I might do this, or I'm out of job, or something. Would you just release that?
Absolutely.
Divine.
Let me mention one thing before we pray, and that is we have to discover the power of decree. It's important. It's important that we hear the heart of God and we start declaring what we hear Him say, even if we don't see it around us. We have to declare it. It's not just a confession of faith. It's not just a I want to cover myself and say I really believe God's going to take care of me in this. No, it's more than that. It's I declare in the name of the Lord that this city, because I live here, will be a blessed city. That which has come to destroy us will in fact fail, because the righteous are here pursuing and declaring the King. You make these declarations. I drive around my city making these declarations, and even Forbes magazine chose Reading as one of the top 10 cities in the country.
I read that.
Yeah,
I read about that.
Recovery in the housing market and stuff. That's unheard of. Reading is so far down the ladder of any kind of economic influence. For it to be picked like that is a real sovereign act of God. But it's because, I believe, it's because the Lord has put people with wisdom and leadership so they make right decisions. But that happened in the atmosphere of a believing bunch of churches that said we're pursuing the kingdom first.